Hey kids, welcome to Blooming in a Cage, a podcast for humans. I'm so glad that you are with us tonight. And if you are with us, pop over to the chat and say, "Hi, how you doing? Tell me what you're having for a snack. I have a lovely glass of water." I made the mistake the last couple weeks of drinking caffeine while I was on here with you guys, and that wasn't great, which led me to having a very rough morning this morning. Have you ever had one of those days where you oversleep and the rest of the day you feel like you're being like behind the eight ball? I don't know if that's a saying anymore. Maybe I'm aging myself, but that's what today Robin does not set an alarm clock because my husband works overnights. And so he got in the bed and I greeted him and kind of woke up, and usually I wake up and don't actually fall back to sleep when he comes in the morning about 6:30. I just kind of generally, lay there for a little bit, maybe check my phone or whatever, go to the bathroom. Well, today I didn't go to the bathroom. I didn't stop to collect $200. I did not go home. I laid there in the bed and went right back to sleep. And unfortunately, what happened with that is overslept, not an hour, but an hour and a half. I overslept by an hour and a half. I woke up, and when you oversleep, you automatically know you've overslept, right? Your body's like, oh my gosh, you've overslept. So here I go. Oh, excuse me. Something over here is poking me in the ear. So I overslept and I popped up, grabbed my phone. I won't repeat the word on the air that I said, but it was not sanctified. And then woke my husband up because I said, "Oh," and realized that it was 8:54, and I was supposed to be at church around 8:40. So I hopped up and hurried on my day, and that's how my day started. So I hope your day started. If you're here, hop over to the chat and say hello. I see my beautiful daughter. Hello, my love. We're talking tonight about one of your favorite things. So I'm glad that you're here. You can chime in. If you're here, which I do see some people lurking in the dark, tell me you're here. So I'm going to get on to announcements so we can get on, because I have a feeling we're going to be talking, chit-chatting tonight a lot with my guest about all of the things to do with Operation Christmas Child. So next week on the podcast, I have my friends Craig and Diane Reynolds, who are tremendous people of God. I love them so much. And Wayne and I were actually talking. He's like, I'm going to have to pop up during your test on Saturday just to say hi to them. They live down in St. Peter's, Clearwater, Florida. I don't know where they are in this beautiful picture here that I have of them. They do a lot of missions work, work with the homeless, work with refugees. And I just love them so much. And I'm excited to hear about what God is doing them. I know they're trying to plan to go on a mission to Africa, but unfortunately, Diane broke her arm. So that has delayed the trip a little bit. But I'm very excited to have the Hot Reynolds on, as I call them, because that means I get to chit chat with them and hear about what they're going to be doing when they head off to Africa, a place that is near and dear to my heart, as my dad has done extensive work there over the last 30 some odd years. And I'm excited about that. So tonight, on the podcast, we're going to be talking. Where are you people? I can see you here in the lurking. Say hello, you people. And I'm talking. I know somebody recently said to me, I'm always watching, but I never get in the chat. You know who you are. I'm not going to call you out, but you know who you are. Pop over that chat if you're one of those lurkers and tell me that you're here. So tonight on the podcast, I have my friend, and I say friend because I don't call people in ministry just people that I do ministry with. And we do, even though we don't, like, we only connect once a year because that's the time that we do ministry. But I'm very excited to talk tonight about something that I have been passionate about. And as I was chatting with them, I think it's about 8 years that I've been the drop-off location leader for Operation Christmas Child, but I have been involved in Operation Christmas Child for much, much longer than that as a project leader at my own church. My daughter and I have worked together on that for a long time, and a few other people at our church that just love this ministry. But and I got worked into it, and we'll talk about that, how I got talked into trickery. Trickery got me involved in this ministry that I had no idea what I was actually getting into. But, sometimes God just calls us to say yes and just obey him. And when you do, and that's actually how I would say that's how this ministry got started. So I'm going to bring in my friend Christina Myers. Hello, Christine. Welcome to the podcast. How are
Hi,
you?
Robin. I'm doing well.
Oh, my dad says,
All your guests as
um,
well.
yes, here's all our people. So this is my lovely daughter who loves Operation Christmas Child. I'm glad you're here, Grace. I have, as they
Hi,
say,
Grace.
would say, I have the receipts about all the crazy things her and I have done for this ministry. And this is my friend Amanda. Amanda, I'm glad you're here because I was thinking of you the other day. If you haven't built a shoebox, you and the kids need to do it. So it's something you guys can do as a family. And this is my dad, even though he's on his other account. And he's the reason I got involved in this ministry. It's your fault, Michael Van.
Excellent.
He tricked me. I'm blaming him and Cecil. It's their fault. Maybe Pastor Steele, who moved and retired. I don't know if I can still blame a retired pastor, but it's partially all of their fault that I got involved in this. How did Christine tell us a little bit about yourself and what your job is with Operation Christmas Child?
Sure. Well, I got involved with Operation Christmas Child initially as a donor when my two adult sons were just young in grade school. And it was an opportunity for us as a family to pack a shoebox for a child in need and also know that they were going to hear the gospel and hear about the love
Absolutely.
of Jesus. And so that is something that we have done for years as a family. And actually, they're young adults now, and I will say they still like to go shop and pack their unique, personalized shoebox each and every year. So
We
it's
were
really
we were
awesome.
chit-chatting that the other day about, like, we like to have themes, like, I'll go through, I'm like, "This is gonna be a
Yes,
pink box," and I go through
yes,
looking through for every pink item that we have at our packing party. So let's backtrack for a minute.
sure.
Operation Christmas Child, and Imma tell a little bit of fact if you don't know what Operation Chris if you're saying, "All these people are talking about this, but what is Operation Christmas Child?" So it's actually run by an organization, called Samaritan's Purse, and
Yes,
I'm gonna look at my notes so I don't cheat, right? 1993, um,
correct.
Franklin Graham was asked by his friends, David Cook and his wife, Gil, who worked in the ministry in Romania, correct?
Correct.
And this is, I love this. I love this story so much because it shows the power of saying yes when the Lord gives you an
Yes.
opportunity. And the will
hmm
of God is not some mystery that gets downloaded from, I mean, sometimes it is, right? But most of the time, it's just saying yes and being obedient when the Lord puts an opportunity in front of him.
hmm
So Franklin Graham already had the existing ministry of Samaritan's Purse where they had
Correct.
were doing relief work for, and they still do that for hurricanes, national disasters, war torn, that type of humanitarian work, I guess, is the umbrella phrase I would use, is what they had done. And so they were asked to pack Christmas gifts for these
hmm
children. And so Franklin said yes, and went to a friend in Charlotte, North Carolina, and said, "Would your church be willing to pack these boxes for these children?"
Yes.
And they again just said yes. They said, "Oh,
Correct.
sure, that's a great idea." And the thing that I love about this is, in their mind and in Franklin's mind, it was just a nice thing, right? A nice thing that they were doing. I don't think he could have, or anybody could have seen what God had in store.
Correct. Yeah.
So they all said yes, and I love the moment that he talks about this little boy sitting in Romania, which is cold, right? By the way, if you don't know, think Russia, cold, not warm, not tropical.
hmm
This little boy shivering, and as he opened his box, as I imagine in my mind, some sweet old lady in Charlotte, which my parents are from that area, went to Belk's. I'm sure she did, Belk's. If you live in the South, that's where you shop. Went to Belk's and bought this kind of bomber style winter jacket and tucked it in this box. And I love that. I think this is the moment that Franklin Graham kind of caught that God was in this, that it was
Yes.
bigger than something he could do. Um, and so this little boy opens this box, didn't have a jacket on it, and inside this box
hmm
is this beautiful winter coat. Um, and that's kind of how Operation Christmas Child was birthed, out of simply saying yes. How do I have that correct?
You are correct. You have that correct.
And
Yes.
so since then, since 1993, and when I was looking these numbers up, which, like, some of them I've known in the past, but it's always good to, like, bring things to your memory. And
hmm
we were talking about it yesterday with my husband, and I was absolutely blown away that Franklin Graham simply saying Yes, and also his friend Dave having the prompting of the Holy Spirit to ask him. You know,
Right.
sometimes we ask the right person.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm blaming myself now as my dad asked the right person. Maybe that's the problem. Um, that my mom said my dad said my mom and I are the queen of Dollar General. That's true. That is
Yes, I
true. Dollar
see that.
General is a good place. But 220 million shoe boxes have been delivered
Yes.
worldwide.
Mhm. That is
That's
correct.
amazing. Now, am I correct? So a shoebox is exactly that. I'm going to show a few pictures here so people can have an idea of what a shoebox is. So a shoebox, these little sweet little girls
Mhm.
holding their boxes, which have toys, clothing, school items, sometimes some sanitary items such as soap and washcloths, toothbrushes. This
Mhm.
one's my favorite. Look at that little face.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, a little baby doll there. You can see some flip-flops.
Yes.
So a shoebox is exactly that. It's a shoebox. It's a tiny shoebox. These little children in Cameroon, we have missionaries that actually work in the Cameroon, um, Rwanda. These
That's
beautiful
right.
faces. And so it's just a simple box that's packed with, well, what do you put in a shoebox?
Well, we want it to be fun and we
Yeah,
want it to be filled, but also personalized. So
yeah,
we do ask that people consider a wow item. So think of your own children or your own grandchildren. Like what would excite them when they
yeah,
open a shoebox? But also we ask you to consider school supplies.
yeah,
There's many children in these countries that the requirement to attend school is to have your own supplies. So those supplies are incredibly important
yeah,
for these children. And also personal care items,
yeah,
clothing. But before you even consider start buying items, we always ask people to pray. Because
absolutely.
as that boy initially opened that box that Franklin witnessed and saw that box, is there are so many prayers that are answered that these children have prayed for, and God
Yeah.
has answered them through these powerful gifts. So we always
That gives
say,
me the
pray.
that gives me the goosey bumps. Like, it gives me the
Yeah.
goosey bumps to think about because it is such a great picture of how personal God is.
Is very personal, and you have to remember that these are children. So these are prayers that children have, and so
Yeah,
sometimes when we pack these boxes, we have to sometimes go back to our own childhood,
yeah,
and just realize that, even a soccer ball
yeah,
could be like the biggest prayer for a 5-year-old boy. Like he
yeah,
just doesn't ever think that's ever going to be possible. And
yeah.
when he opens it and receives it. That's it is how God personalizes the box and answers a child's prayer. And there's so many children um, that are coming to know Jesus as their Lord and Savior.
Yeah, those are
But
some of the numbers that I was astonished by.
yes, but before we jump
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
I also want to just note personalize the box. I know we
yeah,
ask donors to put a picture
yeah,
of themselves or their family and even write a personal note, and you do need to realize that's incredibly powerful.
yeah,
There are if you go on to the Samaritan's Purse website and look at some of the
which I
videos,
do have.
you can see children, they open the box, but there's a letter, and they read the box, or they get a translator to come over and read the letter first, and it's so meaningful to them to know that someone packed this shoebox specifically for them, and it's a
Thinking of
gift.
them.
And
Yeah.
so, yes,
I just wanna
personalizing
point
it.
that I got the little ticker on the bottom, which is
Oh, great.
the website for Samaritan's Purse,
Yes.
Operation Christmas Child, but I specifically highlighted about shoebox stories. But if any
Mhm.
information you're looking for about this, so Amanda, you were saying you'd love to do it, which I know her little daughter, Evelyn, she's my best friend. Her love language is giving gift, and so the great
Oh,
idea that I do what I did with my guys when they were little, and I still do it. Like, I have a 15-year-old son, and you can go up to age
yep.
14. I send him, to the store and I'm like, dude, what do you want? Like, what Lego set looks
Mhm.
cool to you? What would you want to do? And,
Right. Right.
what, and I kind of like to go back to like when I go to clothing items, like looking at little t-shirts and like little
Mhm.
hats and gloves. And even if they're like, we don't know, and that's the thing that I don't know what country kids don't want hats in Africa. Yeah, they do. Like
Yes,
they do
they
want
do.
winter hats. It gets cold there. Might not be cold to
Yes,
you where you live, but it's,
that's right.
when it's been 110 and it drops down to 50,
It's cold.
it's cold to you. It might not be cold to us, but it's cold. So that is, and that's the amazing thing about making it personal. And I love Samaritan's
Correct.
Purse does have, which I've always printed out, and I actually encourage adults to do it when we have our packing party. They have the little like facts about you, where you live in the
Mhm.
world,
Yeah.
coloring sheets. And my dad said, who's worked extensively in Kenya, Kenyan kids love knit hats. They do.
Yes, they
Um,
do.
but I encourage my adults to even take that fun coloring sheet that you can get
Mhm.
on the website and color it in yourself, print it out the facts about you, even just that simple. If you don't want to include a picture or can't, even just giving that child something that
Right.
tells them that somewhere in the world,
Yes.
someone knows them. And I'm thinking my dad, he can correct me. He one time was in, I think it was in Kenya, and this older woman came over and stood beside him, and she was like, held his hand, and he was like, "What are you doing?" And she was like, "I want you to show people this picture so they know I exist." And I think that that's like an impact too that we can have. If
Yes.
we're personalizing it, then we're telling that
Mhm.
child,
We
somebody
exist.
knows that you exist,
Yes.
and that you matter. Um,
Yes.
to somebody, and especially to Jesus. Oh, Zimbabwe, sorry. He's correcting me. I
Mhm.
knew it was somewhere over there. He's been to a lot of those places, but
That's awesome.
yeah. But that you're right, making it personal and praying and asking the Holy Spirit to
Yeah.
guide you as to what to share and what to pack. I always do that. I always go, Lord, what is what is it that this
Mhm.
child needs and wants? And because
Right.
God doesn't, that's the beautiful thing, is that God wants us to know that we are loved. And sometimes, like Amanda said, their love language is giving, but sometimes it's receiving, and
Yeah.
knowing that someone sees me and wants me and loves me,
Mhm.
and a gift can be that simple.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So Operation Christmas Child collections is in November, but
Yes.
they do get distributed year round, and I think that's a misconception that some people think is like, how do they deliver all these boxes? We collect them in November, and they get there by December.
Yeah.
They are. Does Santa Claus work?
Yeah.
Does Santa Claus work
Well,
for them?
yes, it's actually some locations might get them prior to Christmas, and that would be more, closer, to
Right,
our
right,
borders,
right.
Mexico and some of the places in the Caribbean. But yes, they are distributed throughout the year, and that's because they are most of them are shipped in containers
Yeah,
and sent to over 100 countries around the world. Some of them do go by airplane, but they have to go through customs as well.
sure.
And we work with church partners
Yeah,
on the other side, and so
sure.
they are. You're having packing parties on this
Yeah,
side, and you're
yeah,
building the boxes, and you have these events that are going on in your churches. And these churches, our church partners there, are planning outreach events,
right, right.
which is what they're doing because OC Operation Christmas Child also is one shoebox per child in their
Right,
lifetime.
right.
So children are not receiving multiple boxes. And so this really is an outreach for
Sure.
our church ministry partners overseas. And
And I
so
love that.
that's why they are distributed throughout the year.
That's one thing that really got me on board with Operation Christmas Child personally, was that they partner with the local churches,
Yes.
because a lot of mission work gets done where humanitarian relief gets sent in the
Mhm.
name of Jesus, which is
Yes.
great, but it's not necessarily a gospel opportunity. And
Mhm.
that's what I really love about the support that Samaritan's Purse does for local churches and mission organizations, is it really is supporting the important work for the kingdom of God that they're doing in the nations of the earth.
Mhm.
And it's much like here at home, we support our local churches. It's, to me, it's much like that we're supporting by partnering with Operation Christian Child. We're supporting that local pastor that's trying to reach their neighborhood.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes.
that's trying to reach the people right out their front door, and they're doing it using the tool of a simple
Of a
shoebox.
gift.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
gift.
Yes. And with each and every shoebox that is given to a child, they also receive the greatest gift booklet, which is in their language, and it is the
Beautiful.
story of the gospel. And so that is shared with them that day when they receive the shoebox gift as well. And we do know that it doesn't just stop at the child.
Right.
There is many times there are parents that bring their children, and as the shoeboxes are being distributed to the children and they're hearing about Jesus,
Yeah.
there's the parents are in another room and they're hearing the gospel at the same time, and it's
Doesn't they say
beautiful.
like up to 5 people is a gospel
Yes,
opportunity for each box? And
yes,
I just love that. So if you think about it, 220 million shoe
hmm,
boxes, that's just the shoe boxes. That's not the gospel opportunity. And if we think about it this way, when someone gets saved, right? When I get saved and I'm sanctified, I tell a lot more than 5 people. You know what I mean? Like that's so it's probably even a bigger number than that. One story that comes to my mind about that extended family and how this isn't just a nice thing for a child is, which again is nothing wrong with that, but there I heard a story and I think it was when I went to meet a recipient was talking about his experience that there had been a Muslim man who had heard that his children would receive toothbrushes, and
mm,
that was not something that he could provide for his children. So he allowed his children to come
hmm,
to get a shoebox, and him and his wife went with them because they were leery of the Christian organization that was
hmm.
giving them, and the whole family got saved. And what a cool thing to say, like a toothbrush. Like,
Yes,
something that I go to the dollar store here and buy a pack of 5
hmm,
toothbrushes. Something that we take, many people in my household have more than one toothbrush. Right? Like we have one at our camp, and we have one here, and we have a travel one, right? And you have your electric one,
right,
you have your water toothpick. And this man, he wanted his children to have dental care, but
yeah,
God wanted him to meet him. And what a what
yeah,
a what a beautiful opportunity. I think it is
yeah,
something like, it says here, since, and I got this from Operation Christmas Child, 40.5 million shoebox recipients have participated in the 12 lesson discipleship course. That's the greatest
yes.
journey, correct?
That's the greatest journey. Yeah, that's the 12
Yeah.
lesson discipleship program. So, and that is something they're invited to come back to. And that's the opportunity where they get to, learn these 12 lessons,
Yeah.
and accept Christ as their savior. And then they're also encouraged to then share the gospel.
Right.
And so it's all about evangelism, so we're sharing the gospel with them, and then discipleship, discipling them,
Right.
and then multiplying. And that's the method that
The goal.
OCC is using. Yep.
It's simple. It
Hmm.
really is simple. And I think sometimes that's a bigger lesson for us to learn here in the States, because we have a lot of programs in the United States to figure out how to go fishing. That was the title of last week's podcast, going deep sea fishing. But the gospel is simple.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
not complicated, and this is a simple method of
Hmm.
inviting someone to receive a gift, and that gift being the gospel. But so out of that, we actually did the Greatest Journey at our church for our Sunday school program.
You
We've done,
did.
yeah, we did, and I would say if anybody's listening who is a pastor or a children's pastor, it's a great curriculum to use. It's
Yes.
simple. It works for most ages. I will say, obviously not like little tiny nursery guys, but because it's designed to work within which I think is what, 4 to 14,
Hmm. Yep.
that age bracket. But it really is adaptable to use even for a youth group if you're looking to share the gospel and disciple a group. Yeah, we've done it. I think at least once, maybe twice, that we used it at our church for our children's
That's
curriculum.
awesome. Yes.
So
And
that is
when they finish the 12 lessons, then they also have a graduation, and they receive a gift of the New Testament
beautiful.
in their own language as
What a
well.
gift. What a
And so,
gift to have the
yes.
gospel in your own language. And that's something I think that we as Americans take for advantage.
Hmm. Yeah.
Most of us have the gospel right here, right on our phone.
Mhm.
My brother said, Sunday, I'll
Correct.
wait for you to get there. And he said, you used to wait as a pastor for the rustling of the pages, and now you wait for the clicking of the phones. So,
Yes.
so out of that 40 million recipients, 20.2 million boys and girls have made a decision for Christ.
Yes, that's correct.
That is astonishing. That is absolutely
Mhm.
amazing to me, that and to go back simply because a friend asked a friend to do him a favor.
Yeah.
I mean, really, that's the bottom line of where this ministry, which I think is an important lesson to learn, is that when God gives you an opportunity to help somebody, you never know
Yeah.
what's going to be birthed out of that simple obedience. and
Mhm.
and that God has made a provision for that.
Mhm.
And that he and my friend Jim Loomer, I swear he's probably going to call me someday and say I want royalties from him, me using this phrase over and over again. But it's so good, is that God is doing something, and he invites
Mhm.
us to be a part
Yes.
um, of what we're doing. And Amanda, you are
Mhm.
correct. Here it says we tend to forget how truly fortunate we are. Um,
Yes.
and we do forget simple things like toothbrushes. Right?
Yes, and I was just at a packing party, actually in upstate New York, and it was interesting, um, and I just loved how they encouraged everybody to put 2 toothbrushes
Yeah.
in the shoebox, and, I talked with the project leader, and she's like, "Well, um, they might have a sibling at home that needs one,
Yeah.
or a parent, or,
And no one
it's
wants to share a
it's a gift."
toothbrush, right?
Yeah, and it's a gift for them, but,
Yeah.
there could be items in the shoebox that they get to then give as a gift, and
I
we've
always,
heard those stories as
yeah.
well.
I always think about that when I'm packing that smallest box, the
Mm,
youngest child box. I said to
yes.
somebody recently, I said, think about mom. I said
Yeah,
that, don't just think about baby, think about mom, because
yes,
it really is. It's a toddler that you're packing for. I
yes,
think about something that
correct.
might help them, a cup,
Mhm.
a spoon,
Yep,
a small
yep,
bowl. I said those kind of things are helpful for mom,
yeah,
not just for baby. And they were like, oh, I was like,
yes,
remember this box is going home to a
exactly,
family, to a mom. And
right.
sometimes it's great when they get something that it encourages the parent,
Mhm.
not only that it might be a secret prayer that mom has had or
Yes,
dad has had, like that
right.
father who was praying, who needed toothbrushes, and he
Mhm.
was asking, and I my sister-in-law Hannah says it's a God breeze when he just does something just because he can,
Mm,
that he
yeah.
just says
Oh, I like
hi.
that phrase.
It's a great phrase. I'll give you royalties, Hannah. When I make a lot of money, my Venmo's right there in the corner. So, but like that God just does something. He just kind of blows by and says hi. I can
Mm,
do this. A couple stories that I was thinking about, if you have any other, is you were talking about personal, is the little girl that showed up with a Dora backpack, and her name was Dora, and
yes,
she opened her shoebox, and lo and behold, inside was a Dora doll. And
yes.
that is one of my favorite stories, because that goes to show you that God can do what he wants as he wills. If you think
Yes,
about
it
it,
can.
like last year, I think it was in 2023, 11.5 million shoe
Yes.
boxes were distributed. So let's
Mhm.
let's
Yes.
just use
Yep.
that number as a game. So 11.5 million shoe boxes got distributed. They got
Yep.
brought to a church, and I don't know what it's like, 12 countries or something like that, right? It is, I think. And so all those people packed boxes, and somebody somewhere saw a Dora doll and said, "Oh, that's cute. I'm going to put that in the box." Right? That's
Right,
probably honestly
right.
the way it went. And then those boxes went to a distribution center and got
Mhm.
sorted through, and then put back into a carton. And then just
Mhm.
by chance, they got packed in a carton that went in a shipping container that then went on a ship or an airplane, and then maybe went by donkey or elephant or canoe or back of a truck on top of a
Right.
car. I love what If you want a good time, go on YouTube and or search and see
Yes.
how shoebox as a drop off location leader. It always gives me faint of heart when I see those boxes on the canoes and the cardboard boxes. Oh, um, but just by chance, this little girl
Yeah.
opens her box and her name is Dora and she's wearing a Dora backpack
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she has a
It's
Dora
yeah.
doll.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's a new phrase you can use. That's a God incident.
Yeah, God incident. I love that. Yeah, it's a
God's
God
at work.
incident. Yeah.
That just those kind of things just remind us about how human we are.
Mm, yeah.
And how he's God Almighty and
Yeah.
he can do that.
Yep.
He can get that box into that correct child's hand and show love in a tangible way that only he can do. And we do get to partner with him and do that. We get to participate, which is amazing.
Which is amazing. Which brings us to like how fortunate we are. Like we know the economy is not great. And it's
Yes.
something I'm mindful of. And I was going to show a few pictures here to just talk about one of the ways, which one thing where now it's like almost the end of September. I said to Christina the other day, I was like, oh, I'm in Operation Christmas Child mode. I have to like click it on, Robin. It's in that time. And which is funny because I've actually been thinking about since July when school supplies started to show up in stores. And the economic status of the United States is not great, but as Amanda said, we are so fortunate in the
Yeah.
United States comparatively to other people in other countries. And it shows up actually in facts that it's like out of the 11 million shoe boxes that were packed, 10 million of those came from the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we are fortunate that we can show up
Yes.
in pack boxes. It's like what, $10 to ship a box?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is still a suggested donation of
Yeah.
$10 to
Obviously,
cover
you
the
can give
shipping.
more.
Yes,
And
you
then
you can give more. Yep. And
and
that $10 covers
right.
multiple things.
Multiple things,
So,
right? The
yeah.
greatest journey, the getting it there, like lots of things. But the thing that like I think about is like if you were to even take $25 right now, I was thinking
Mhm.
about this when you go to Walmart, you really could fill a box, a good quality box.
Yes.
If you do your clearance
Mhm.
mindful look. So a few things I wanted to show you just for fun, because
Yeah.
me and my daughter do, and my mom, and I have a couple other ladies. My friend Shirley Bell, if you're listening, Shirley's been making little pencil packs with. I don't know if you've ever heard. If you're in Operation Carl, you know Granny pencil packs, but same idea with some pencils, and she's got a little handmade. She does stamping, little handmade bookmark, and some other ideas. I have a few other ladies, my friends Kim and Lucy, who've been out and they brought me all sorts of little beanie babies and stuffed animals and things that they've been searching, some really cute ones we were looking through the other day. But this is what I would say. I am not a rich woman. We are a one income family here. You know, I'm not a bazillionaire. I live in Vermont where 85% of the population lives at or below the poverty level. And I know that I am rich, but I also
Mhm.
know that I go with the mindset to say, God, I want you to show me what to get, where to get, and also to ask. And this is one thing that I will say over and over again. If you find a good deal, say my dad says me and my mom are the queens of Dollar General, say you go and it's, you know, the beginning of summer and all of the knit hats are on clearance, right? Go and ask the manager, if I bought the whole box, what would you kind of deal would you give me? More often than not, they will give you a deal because they want to move that merchandise
Yes.
out of their store. So a couple
Mhm.
incidents of that. This one, my son's going to be embarrassed, but this was several years ago. We bought 600 water bottles. It looks crazy.
Wow.
600 water bottles at
Wow.
Walmart. And those are just like back to school
Yep.
summer water bottles. I don't even remember. Me and my husband were talking about the price. It was really cheap. Let me just say that. It was
Yes.
really cheap. But we went to the manager and we said, if we bought every single water bottle on this display, well, I think it was 10 cents, to be honest with you, a water
Yeah.
bottle. I think
I've heard those stories.
I think they were marked down to 25. I think they were marked down to 25. And we said, if we
Mhm.
would take them all, would you give us a deal? And he gave them to us for 10 cents, I think, a piece.
Yes.
And we bought every single one. We looked like psychos. There's my son who was like 10 pushing the carton. He was like, Mom.
That's awesome.
And the thing is, I will say, God bless, they went over to the service desk and God bless that manager, because what most people don't know is every one of those water bottles, there's a few different SKUs because there's different designs. So
Oh
we had to
my
count.
gosh.
We stood over there. This is tell you the level of psycho. We stood over there, me and my husband, and counted how many we had of each SKU so
Oh
they
my
wouldn't
gosh.
have to. And they
Yes.
were
So they
not,
could.
you can see they're well coordinated, but they were not coordinated there. Um, this is my daughter, Grace. That is 8,000 pencils. And you can see the notebooks,
Wow.
but which are behind them, which I do have another picture of the notebooks.
Yes.
8,000 pencils. I believe there were 36 in a pack, and I think that
Yeah.
cost us $45, or it cost her
Wow.
$45 for 8,000
Wow.
pencils. Now,
That's amazing.
we spent the next couple weeks. We had a huge Rubbermaid container that we put in our living room, and we got
Mhm.
rubber bands, and everybody
Yep.
that came over, we were like, "You want to come over and wrap pencils with us?" And we were just. But the thing is, I will tell you that ministry hurts. Our fingers had lead poisoning. We got because they were pre-sharpened ones,
Oh, they
so
were.
we got annihilated with pencils.
Oh my goodness.
And this is the couple last one here is notebooks. That's our notebooks. We went into
Oh,
Target,
that's
and Target
great.
had these notebooks. Some of the SKUs were a penny or two. Some of them were 10.
Mhm.
So again, we went
Wow.
and asked the manager. My husband went and asked the manager and said, if we buy all
Yeah.
of your notebooks here that you have, would you be willing to give them to us at the lowest? So we paid like a penny, I think, for every
Yeah.
notebook,
That's
and we bought
amazing.
like, I don't know, 400. It was under $10. Let me just put it that way. That we paid, and
Yeah.
we had a lot of notebooks. And this is my friend uh, Lisa Carrier, who again bought little packs of pencils. We
Pencils. That's
we
awesome.
say we still have some pencils because
Sure.
pencils are a popular item. So me and my
Mhm.
daughter say it's like the widow's oil. We're still we were like they're just multiplying in the Rubbermaid bin. There's no we're never gonna run out of pencils.
Pencils.
We're just gonna have pencils forever. So there is ways that you can
Yes.
build more boxes. And packing parties are one
Mhm.
way. You said you went to one. I'm jealous because I haven't
Yeah.
even had one yet.
Yeah, well, this is a church that actually, they have a packing party room that's set up in their church,
Oh,
and they can pack all year, and they
I'm
open it to
jealous.
the
I'm
community. I
jealous.
know, it's amazing. But I just wanna, encourage you in terms of, there is a Facebook project leader page that
Yeah.
people can join, and people get a lot of great ideas. And I also hear, that project leaders post on there, okay, this is when the sale's
Yes.
happening, go to Walmart, go to
Yes.
Target. And there's all these great ideas out there, and people that are really savvy at getting a
Yeah.
good deal, to help people get started with
And
with
the
building a quality box at a reasonable price.
I had a few great ideas come from the project leader page that I had never thought about packing.
Mm.
One was a rubber shower curtain. I
Okay.
had someone say that to me, and I was like, "A rubber shower curtain?" And this was actually a recipient that an event I went to, and I said, "A rubber shower curtain?" And they said, "Yes, because it's a clean surface." And this was for older box, so say we're talking like 10 to 14-year-olds. It fits also, a shower curtain fits, and I can attest, to the bottom of a shoebox very well. It doesn't
Yeah.
take up a lot of room, but they said it can be a quick shelter, which I, again, never thought about.
Ah.
It's a
Oh,
great flat, clean surface, and it's also a
okay.
room divider, which again, something I never thought
Yeah,
about, that you live in a
clever.
lot of families live in a one-room home, and a
Mhm.
shower curtain can be a means of privacy. So that's
Mm.
something that I have gone into to encouraging people, go get a nice rubber dark shower curtain.
Yeah.
And that's a like and small tools, again, another Harbor Freight, shout out Harbor Freight. If you want to give me any donations, Harbor Freight's a great place to get tools. But tools and duct tape. Another one for older boxes, duct tape. So
Yes.
can you tell us what are the boxes that are most needed? I know pack whatever box the Holy Spirit's, but what's the ones that are less done for age wise?
There's always a need for the older boxes, um, And so, yeah, that is a
So
big
that's 10
need.
to
But on
14, correct?
yeah, 10
Yeah.
to 14. But you can what sometimes you had said earlier that you asked your son who's
Yeah.
15, what
Yeah.
would you want in a
Yeah.
box? And that's so important
Yeah.
to get your children or your grandchildren involved or the youth group involved.
Yeah.
And also, there's a great list of gift suggestions that's on the Project Leader resource page on Samaritan's Purse. And there is one specifically for girls 10 to 14 and boys 10 to
And
14
I will
because
say
they even
Pinterest
put that
Pinterest is
together.
another great place to get ideas. If you're a
Good,
Pinterest person, Pinterest has a lot of boards for
good.
and what oh, I know what the other item was. One that came to me, which I am not this is not my area of gifting, but I have a lady that has a group of women from a different church, one of the people that come to me that make reusable sanitary napkins.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
I was like,
I'm glad.
"Oh, because girls miss a lot of school."
Yes, they do.
Due to sanitary I know that's something that like, okay, guys, I don't wanna listen to that, but listen, that's a real thing, and I
It
was
is.
like, "Oh my gosh," so these women have patterns and they make these which actually is very popular these days, actually, among many people, but I had
Hmm.
never thought about that for an older girl box because there's so many young women that
Yes.
can't attend school because they
Hmm.
don't have proper sanitary items. So I
Right.
love that. Those are the couple ideas is the shower curtain, tools, duct tape for that older boys. But I also think one thing that we miss is like my 15-year-old, he plays video games and is on his phone. Sorry, Riley. And Legos. He does like Legos. But most children around the world don't have the opportunity to just play
Hmm.
the way that our children do here in the United States. They don't have electronics. They don't have that sort of
Hmm.
television entertainment. So things like Matchbox cars,
Yeah.
yo-yos, Rubik's cubes, all those things are great
Yes.
ideas. Dolls, listen. I'm a Barbie girl, okay? I got my last Barbie when I got married. My grandmother gave me a porcelain a wedding Barbie doll. But, every girl at every age
Yes.
even us almost 50-year-olds can admire and love a baby doll. We just want real babies now, right? It's the same thing. And I think that that's an important thing is when you're shopping, if you have the 10 to 14 and you're leaning more toward the 10-year-old, the 14-year-old's going to really appreciate
Hmm.
those same items that you might think are too young, I guess, and
Right.
and and that's the problem I have. Like, I wouldn't want that. Like, you're thinking an American 14-year-old. That's
Yes.
not what we're talking about. And soccer balls being very, very popular. That is the most popular
Yeah.
sport in the United
Hmm.
States. So,
Yeah.
how would you encourage somebody to get involved if they've never packed a box? How can they even find out information? Obviously, we have the website, but what's the first thing you would tell somebody?
Well, I would encourage them to, well, if their church isn't packing, that might be something they might want to introduce to their church. But to get involved, you can just get an ordinary shoebox. It doesn't have to be a green and white shoebox that you can get from Operation Christmas Child. We all buy shoes. And you can just pack a regular shoebox. That's how the ministry started, using regular shoeboxes. And really just, pray, even pray about perhaps the age of the child that you would want to pack a gift for. If you have children or grandchildren, involve them as well. It's such an opportunity to share globally about children in other parts of the world, to allow them to, see beyond themselves and their own
Yeah.
circumstances, kind of giving them that global picture. Even pull out maps and perhaps even show, some of the countries that these shoe boxes go to, because we do have labels that are called Follow Your Box,
Yes.
and you can find out which country your shoebox went to. But also, if you're just getting started, find a couple friends that want to do it with you. It's a lot more fun
It
to go
is.
shopping and to do a party together. Maybe have a goal. Say, 5 families.
Right.
All right, let's do, 10 boxes or
Sure.
20 boxes, and you get the pencils, and you get the school books, and or oh, you found the deal for like stuffed animals,
Right, right.
and everybody contribute and come together and do something together,
It's a
because
lot of fun
we
to go
love.
shopping.
Yes, it's fun to go shopping, but then it's also fun to come together and pack the boxes
Yeah.
together. That's really fun too, because I've heard just great things about packing parties, and even like some church small groups,
Yeah.
they do it.
Yeah.
They plan and they come together as a small group. They bring all the items that they've purchased, and they have this great packing party. And when after you're done packing, again, pray.
Right.
Pray over the shoe boxes, because, God knows exactly which child is going to receive that shoebox. Now, we also have an opportunity to pack a shoebox online, and we have an acronym for that. We call it BASBO, but it stands for Build a Shoebox Online. And this was something that has started small. It's still quite small, but you still get to pack a fun-filled and personalized shoebox online. So if you don't have access to go shopping, you
Yeah.
can build a shoebox online for a total of $25.
And I
That's
tell
all
people
the
too,
items
even if
and the shipping.
not just, I mean, it's a great thing for those elderly or disabled that can't get out on their own, but it's also great for people who are just busy. If you're just
Yes.
busy, if you're just busy and don't have
Purpose.
the time. I actually have a couple ladies that have given me money the last couple years, like, I just don't have time. I'm like, that's fine. I'll shop with your money. It's even more
Yes.
fun to go shopping with other people's money. But so that's the other thing too, I was saying with a group of friends, if you have a group of friends, everybody give me $10 and I'll go, whatever it is,
Mhm.
whatever you can afford, $25, use that as an example, and then go and
Right.
go shopping and say, I got everything, meet at my house Thursday. We're having pizza and we're going to pack boxes. And the thing is,
Right.
like, my husband, I'm sorry, honey, if you're listening, he's kind of a Scrooge. He doesn't like Christmas. So I always use it as an excuse to sneak in Christmas music and Christmas cookies early when we have a packing party. Cause I'm like, it's Operation Christmas Child. Okay. We
Right.
have to listen to Christmas music and eat Christmas cookies. Okay. Obviously, it's because youth group's helping us, not because I want an excuse to do that a little bit early. It's never too early for Christmas cookies.
Mhm.
Or Christmas music. So it is that kind of time too to get into festivities. And I have heard of some people who do this and defer of exchanging gifts with each other. Would say to
Great
to
idea.
go, you're like, I don't need anything. Like, please don't buy my kids anything. You're like, I don't need any more toys. Let's do a
Mhm.
packing party together. And it's a little
Right?
early, but it's a great time to get into
It is.
festivity if you have a group of friends that you would typically do a Christmas party with,
Mhm.
or even at your office, and that's the thing is it's not exclusive to Christians.
Right.
You
It's
can't
not.
say to your office, hey, would you guys like to you know, build some Christmas boxes, maybe set out a
Absolutely.
jar that people can donate and you can pick up and take your
Mhm.
lunch half hour. It doesn't take long to fill
No,
boxes. We
no.
did a packing party with our youth group last year and we filled like 250 boxes in an hour.
Wow.
You
That's
know,
awesome.
because we
Wow.
just set it up on the tables and everybody just kind of went down the conveyor belt, as they'd say, and
Yes.
say,
Yeah.
go through. So a couple things that we want to make sure we get here is that Operation Christmas Child collections is, if it'll let me, November 18th to the
Yes.
25th.
Those are the correct dates.
So
Yes.
I do know that it's not up yet, but it should be live November 1st. You can go onto this site here, Operation or Samaritan's Purse, and search, put your zip code in, and it will bring you to your local drop-off location.
October 1st, actually.
October 1st, yes, October 1st.
Yes. Yeah,
That'll
it'll
be
be
live. It will show you. I am the local drop-off location leader here for
yes.
Windham County. So if you're listening and you want some more information that you didn't get here, feel free to put a note in the podcast or send me a message, and I am happy to share with you all the information. If you want to know when we're going to be packing, I don't know yet. I got to check. My daughter had to go and get pregnant, and like she's my best partner, and she's like super pregnant. She's gonna have this baby right at Christmas. But we still been shopping. We still have this. I have 2 boxes
That's
today.
awesome.
Actually, one of my volunteers that came in with food pantry was like, "What's this?" I'm like, "It's shoebox stuff. Just leave it alone. I'll take care of it. Just ignore that 2 boxes that are laying on the floor with a bunch of pencil packs and other stuff that someone donated that I haven't even looked at yet. Just leave it there. And a couple weeks ago I came in, there was another box that had come in OCC. I have no idea where it came from. I'm
Very
like,
nice.
okay.
Awesome.
So, and
Super.
it doesn't take a whole lot of work. It's really simple actually, to go shopping, just like you're going shopping for your family. Only you get to be a part. Thank you so much, Christine, for coming on tonight.
Yes.
I have had such a great time, and it's energized me, which we need to get to see, to think about the child that's going to look like that.
Yes.
That beautiful little face lighting up. It makes me want to know what's in their box. Like, what is in your box?
I know.
Because look,
Right?
her friends looking. Her friends even like, girl,
Her
look what
friends,
you
yes.
got. She's like, look what you got. And this little face here. These beautiful girls with their
Yes.
face
Beautiful.
painted. The school supplies and
Mhm.
these little boys here opening up,
Yep.
looking for that Matchbox car and soccer ball. And I
Right.
love the look on this mama's face here too.
Yes, how pleased she is.
How pleased she is that her children, how proud she is that her children
Yep.
get to participate in this, and this sweet little guys, these little guys' face. So important.
Precious.
And
Yeah.
Cameroon, they're highlighted, is really an unreached people group. There is not a lot of the gospel in Cameroon. I know that personally because we have missionaries that work among the Baka, and they actually worked there for almost 20 years before they saw their first convert. A lot of tribal, unreached people, faithfulness. And now they have a active church with elders and believers, but still plugging away. So an Operation Christmas Child gets to be a part of that, partnering with local pastors and missionaries who are doing the hard work. We get to do the fun, easy work. That's what I say.
Yeah,
we get the fun, easy part of Operation Christmas Child. We get to go shopping and pick out a pretty Barbie and pretend that I'm 10 and it's still acceptable to want to buy one. And I was actually driving through Walmart the other day, didn't have time, and I'm like, ooh, look, Barbie's on clearance. All those things that you get to see. And right now there is some summer clearance and that kind of stuff. There is school supplies that are going to be going down to Mark. Go through and look and see, because the bottom line is out of this ministry, millions of children have accepted Christ, and they know that God loves them, that he has a wonderful plan for their life, and they're going to go home to a neighborhood, to a school, and to a family, and they're going to be able to share the good news. And God invites us in a simple way. It really is a simple way to participate. And I will say this, as a drop-off location leader, if you know the church in your area that's a drop-off location, go to them. And if you can volunteer and say, I can volunteer, me and my kids can volunteer for a couple hours. It's such a needed thing, because a lot of times I will say it's a very a thing that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work during the week. Of my kids usually end up eating takeout for that week. It's a lot of work that you do. And even one thing I will say is, like, us as drop-off location leaders, sometimes we have to rent U-Haul trucks. There's other monetary things that have to be taken care of in order for a drop-off location to function. And there's lots of opportunity. You can go to a sorting warehouse. There's lots of opportunities that you have beyond just building a simple box to get involved. And I will say, even though I got tricked into it, I got asked to just volunteer a few hours 1 week out of the year. That's what I got told. And then after my first conversation with our friend Cecil, I knew that I was going to be deep in, which was fine. It was just, that's usually the way it is with God. He eases in. If he tells us everything, we probably wouldn't sign up for it. We'd be like, no. So I appreciate.
And you're having eternal impact.
Yeah, like, and that's it.
God, I remind myself, you're partnering with God in eternal impact.
One of my most favorite things, I'm telling secrets on myself, is when because sometimes at my drop-off location, it's a little dead. You're sitting there with a cup of tea, and I always remind myself that I get to sit there and I'll look at those cartons that are filled up, and I can pray for each of those children in that box and that carton, that it's going to go, and that it will be a good seed that will fall on good soil. So above all age, maybe you can't pack a box. Maybe that's not in the financial scheme of things, but maybe you can buy pack of crayons that goes to your packing party, you know.
Correct.
Maybe you can give an online donation of $5 to
Mhm.
$10. You know, maybe that's what you can do. We would never want somebody to do something that they couldn't do out of wisdom. But the thing that we all can do that costs nothing is we can pray for this important ministry. We can
Amen.
pray that each of those boxes will fall on good soil, because as they'll call go boxes, but we know that's a gospel opportunity, that we can pray that they'll fall on good soil and that it will be impactful not only to that child's life, but to the whole family and into the neighborhood, and into the school that they live in. Because we have lots of opportunity. I drive down the road, I turn on my radio, and there's Christian music right there. Right. I
Mhm.
have opportunities all the time to hear the gospel. But that's just not true everywhere. And
Right.
some of these boxes are going to places that it's dangerous to
Yeah.
hear the gospel.
Yes.
And so we need to pray that they fall on good soil, and pray for the pastors and missionaries that are working with Operation Christmas Child, to distribute these boxes, and
Mhm.
pray for their
Yeah.
safety, and pray for that they would have the financial support that they need to host these events, because that is a
Yes.
real aspect, that sometimes we forget about, because we just go and turn on the light switch and the electricity's there, or turn on the water and it's right there, or whatever, or go into our fancy church buildings that have a whole packing room. I'm jealous of that. I have a couple shelves in our storage room that my deacons gave me that I have to take what I can get. I can't be jealous. That's a sin. It's a sin to have a jealousy of a beautiful packing room. Well, thank you for coming on tonight. I know we'll
Yes.
chat
Thanks
again,
for having
because
me. Yes, we
I'm gonna
will.
be I'm gonna be packing boxes here and heading over, and I'll be at Green Mountain Chapel if you're local here during the week of November. Um, Dropping off boxes. And if you want to come hang out, I always let people come in and pray. If you want to come in and pray
Great.
boxes, I will not reject you if you come in and say, I'm just going to spend a few minutes praying. That's a great way to volunteer to come in and pray over those boxes, or bring coffee to your drop off location leader. They probably need it. They probably need it during that week. Well, thank you so much, Christina. I hope you have a great week,
Thank
and we
you.
will chat
You
soon.
too.
Okay. God bless you
Sounds
and your
great.
work. Okay.
You
Guys, that was Christina Myers, who is the regional manager for Operation Christmas Child. She lives over in the Albany, New York, area. And I am so excited that you guys get to hear about this. If you want more information about Operation Christmas Child, you can go right there to SamaritansPurse.org/Christmas Operation Christmas Child. Or simply go on and just search Operation Christmas Child. A bunch of stuff is going to Google, is going to pop up. If you want more information on how you can do that locally here, in the Windham County area, feel free to shout out, to me, either on Blooming the Cage, or if you have my personal page, and I am